Nope.
Nope.
All right. Welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Other than the fact that we can't post on our pages still.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Did it go to our free solution group page?
We went to
Because
our free solution group.
all right,
So,
I'm gonna
guys,
go
this is
there.
becoming exclusive. Like, we're going to have to do. We're going to have to just post on our pages, like, by the free solution group.
I
So,
did
you guys,
tonight. I mentioned it.
yeah. So, if you aren't in there, you got to be. But all right, folks. So we do have a few fun things to talk about today. We'll see how much we get to. We have some New York State stuff. It's gonna be we have a few things to talk about for New York State. We're gonna talk about Kathy Hochul
She's a
driving
kind.
New York State to morning drinking. Is that
Yeah,
it? Is that am I getting? I think I'm getting the gist of it right.
yeah. She's a kind and benevolent God, Kevin.
That's right. And of course the NRA settlement thing. You got to tell me more about that. And
Yeah.
then lots of the congressional stuff. We'll do a few national news just because.
We got another libertarian hero who's rejecting the promises of modern monetary theory and stacking sats in the suit coat lining of his.
Yes, yes. I now know what hero you're talking about.
Yep.
Real
We'll have to talk about him a
advocate for
little bit.
gold.
Yeah.
Just a big fan
He's
of gold.
big fan of gold. He's, oh God, it's not like we didn't know it was coming with this guy.
Yeah,
He got away with it in 2017, and we should save it for the show. We'll just work our way towards him eventually.
that's right.
Somebody found us. Who found us?
I know that's the tough part. But I posted on the page so some folks can find us.
All right,
Um,
it's a miracle. Facebook is out to get Kevin and Tim. Finally, there's Alice. We haven't. Oh wait, Patty. All right, we haven't seen Alice in a
Alice,
while.
Patty, yeah. So thanks, folks, for joining us. All right, we're gonna get started in about 10 seconds with the actual show.
All right. Crack this beer.
Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin. I'm excited. This is going to be a great show. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Though I do want to talk about the first thing I want to talk about is I just want to let everybody know that occasionally amazing things happen right here in Otsego County, the central part of New York State. It's a very rural agricultural community, and look, I know a bunch of people that are big into demolition derbies, and it's this past weekend we had the San Filippo Smash 7 at the Otsego County Fairgrounds, and it was like, Kevin, I got to tell you, you're not going to believe this when I tell you, but there's like 300 or 400 cars that show up to this demolition derby. This is a demolition derby. It's like a volunteer demolition derby. You pay an entry fee. You don't win any prizes. You win nothing. All the
You
money
just win
goes.
pride.
No
If you
prizes. No prize.
no, I mean like you get the pride of winning. You get bragging
Yeah,
rights.
yeah. That's it. That's all you get. And people come from all over the country: Kentucky, California, Texas, Colorado, Vermont, Maine, and then all my buddies that are into it are wrecking cars, building cars the days before they go in. My stepson is big into it. He took 3 cars over. I mean, this thing, and look, I don't know if you know what Sanfilippo disease is or Sanfilippo syndrome is, but it's a very rare genetic disorder that basically nothing was done about it all until recently. So this was the Sanfilippo smash number 7, and they broke a goal of they have raised over $500,000 in the 7 years that they've been doing this to help people who have kids with Sanfilippo disease and help those kids and hopefully spark some more research into perhaps fixing it. It's just a if you like demolition derbies, which I do, it's just a beautiful event. Cars getting smashed, people having, demolition derby is very exciting. I mean, the dust, the noise, the twisted metal on the track. It's just an absolute blast. Like Americana is pure Americana distilled into just a beautiful moment. And invariably the weather's perfect. I don't know how that works, but the weather's always good for the Sanfilippo smash.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've told me about it before. I think you've talked about it on the show. It sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a great event, good cause, and good time.
Yeah, so check out Spinning Wheels LLC on Facebook. They do a lot of demolition derbies. They're nice guys, and this Sanfilippo Smash, like I said, is a benefit just for Sanfilippo research and helping families who are affected by this syndrome.
They're worth the trek, even if you're out here in the Rochester area.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys could probably even find a way to send them a couple bucks to help them out for next year, whatever. I mean, whatever you want, come to the show. It's amazing. You pay $20 to get in. You can sit and watch cars get smashed all day long, 2 days in a row, Kevin. 2 days in a row. It starts at noon on Saturday, and it goes to like midnight on Sunday. Like it's epic.
Nice.
It's just epic level stuff. The stands at the Otsego County Fairgrounds full, right full to the brim. And everybody is just so cool. Everybody's there for the same thing. Help raise money and enjoy a great demolition derby. These guys build cars. They dump thousands of dollars into these cars that they're just the graphics on them before they wreck them are absolutely beautiful. They're immaculate. They have contests for that. And then they just turn them into twisted metal, man.
Yeah.
They just junk them. And it's
that sounds awesome. Definitely check that out. Where what was it called again? Just if anyone wants to Google it.
This is the Sanfilippo Smash, and it's a yearly event, generally towards the end of September, beginning of October. The guys who volunteer a lot of time and really start putting together Spinning Wheels LLC, and they have a Facebook page. They do a lot of demolition derby promotion, but this is their big give back of the year.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. That's what you look for. All right. We should get to the news.
We should.
We got to get to that stuff too. That sounds cool. So New York State news. We're gonna talk about our beloved governor, Kathy Hochul. She's always giving us things. She's always like extending her generosity to the peasants of New York.
Wonderful like that. She's a kind of benevolent God, Kevin. I don't know why more people don't understand that.
And generously bestowing on us the right to drink in the morning. Or at least drink in the morning at a state-approved, place to dispense beer, which is normally not allowed. But because of the Buffalo Bills playing in London, she's going to allow it. And this is a tweet from her said, with the Buffalo Bills playing across the pond Sunday morning, I know fans will be gathering for the big game and may fancy a pint. I'm directing the State Liquor Authority to extend the deadline for special permits so sports bars and restaurants can serve as early as 8 a.m. Huzzah.
God bless her, Kevin.
Yeah, just jumping in to solve a problem after the state took away, bars' rights to serve at 8 a.m. They're bestowing it back to us so Kathy Hochul can ride on the popularity of the Buffalo Bills. Thank you, Governor Hochul.
Well, and she's building them a new stadium too. I mean, does her generosity
she's from Buffalo. Limit. She loves the Bills, and whether it's subsidizing a stadium or letting us drink at 8 a.m., she's here for the part. Oh my goodness! Did you see? This is slightly off topic, but did you see her cringe like Instagram post where she's like calling up Spectrum to like get the Bills back on the air and stuff on ESPN? Like, did you She's like trying
Oh
to
my
take credit
God,
for some of that stuff. Oh
no.
man, it is just cringe of cringe. Like I'll have to find a link to it later. It's gross.
I saw a
But
tweet or something where she says she could straighten out the immigration crisis. I mean, it almost sounded like she's thinking about running for president. She could solve these problems in minutes. All the
no, I mean
problems that
she
we're
loves like jumping in and like taking credit for stuff and like again, quote unquote, giving us things when we forget like why this barrier was there in the first place. And like she did this too with like so like that recent thing with the girl getting kidnapped too. Like she kind of like took a main role in the press conference and everything, which I don't know.
Right.
It didn't really feel necessary to me since it
Very
wasn't.
Cuomo-esque, though. I remember Cuomo slapping on that windbreaker, man, and jumping up in the snowplows, telling him, drive very carefully down this road because there's
No.
lots of snow on the road. I mean,
Oh goodness, yeah. Like you're doing nothing. Like the police were like out doing their jobs. Like the community was out looking for this girl. Like she had nothing to do with it. Like just sorry. Like she doesn't deserve credit. She's trying to like soak up the glory of like other people doing great things around her, and I think that's gross. And it's like transparently gross to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a partisan or something. But like,
no, it's not just you, Kevin. That's one of the things I've always hated about politicians in general, and it's not getting better. They're not getting classier, right? Like yes, I'm with you, man. It's not just you. You know that,
yeah,
though.
no, like what, like because and it's not just Hochul who does this. It's all sorts of politicians who do this thing where like they will try to just like be near people who are doing cool stuff and then try to absorb some of the credit just by being like, well, this happened in my state, in my congressional district. Let's talk about how great our district is. No, you didn't. You had nothing to do with this. Like, I mean, if she funded it or something, all right, like. Maybe, but like even that, but yeah, it's out of our pocket, right?
Out of our pocket. It's like stealing valor. What another disgusting trick that politicians do. Like, first of all, she drives me crazy. You're absolutely right. This is a show that she puts on, and again, she learned it, like I said, from Cuomo when he would go out for photo ops or go water skiing with his nipple rings hanging out. Like it just wild.
That was allegedly. It's not confirmed.
Okay, well, I saw the picture of it, and I couldn't quite tell, but it looked like maybe he had. All right, maybe it was just a rumor. I don't know. I'm not going to fact check it. I'm just going.
No, I mean it's funnier if we don't, but no, but I do want that like the substance of this rule again, not just like politicians being gross, although that is like an evergreen topic on this show, but like the substance of this rule is like, should bars like need a special permit to like serve beer at 8 a.m. and again, to me, like I don't like the inconsistency of it. Like if you think that is a worthy rule, like no one should be able to serve beer until afternoon, then just do that, right? Like, and there are like special bars who are able to like either get special permits for special events to allow. And this is what it is. And what she's doing is she isn't like just making it legal for a day. She's extended the deadline so people can apply to ask the state permission to do this thing for a little bit longer. That's all she did.
Oh. And it probably costs a few bucks for that application, I would imagine.
Right? And then listen, there are some bars like there's one bar in Rochester actually that's meant for like third shifters. So if you want to get a beer after work and after work happens to be at like 7 a.m.
Sure,
there are bars in Rochester where you can do that because there used to be, still are places that have third shifts, and sometimes you want a beer after work, no matter the time of day.
And there's some ridiculous prohibition like hangover from that kind of era where the government promises us our safety, promises us our health, and provides us with rules to implement that stuff. And all those rules are your typical shakedown of small businesses to fund pet projects like building the Buffalo Bills stadium.
Yeah. But in general, like with this rule, like honestly, I don't think you should have to get a special. I think like a liquor permit should be a liquor permit, right? Like I get there, like a lot of counties have like times when like things close, right? Like Monroe County is 2 a.m.
Yep.
Erie County, I think it's 4 a.m.
Yep.
New York City, Wild West, you could just be out all night. Just you want a beer at 5:45. That's all right. There are places that will do that. I mean, honestly, I think that's generally probably like fine. Like most businesses aren't going to want to do that. Like a lot of places, like they're not open till 2 a.m. A lot of places still they close at 11 because like their clientele isn't out after 11. Maybe they're They're serving like, you know, aging people like me who don't want to be out after, midnight anymore.
Yeah, it's this offshoot of these morality laws, right? The
Yeah.
blue light laws, and that's where we've gotten to, that they're still in effect. And sure, I can get a local jurisdiction saying, "Hey, we'd like all of our bars to close at 1." But the Sunday beer drinking one is like statewide, right? Or is it? Yeah, it's statewide, and you
Yeah.
can't get beer before noon on a Sunday. And I always thought that was ridiculous. You have to plan ahead. You're drinking on Sunday. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, it's they beer sales are prohibited on Sundays between 3 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Yeah,
You know,
ridiculous. There's no
and
need for
liquor
that.
sales are between midnight and 8 till 9 a.m. on Sundays. And let's see, and then in a bar it's supposed to be after 10 a.m. in some places. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of things, like a bunch of different rules associated with it.
Why is this so complicated? Why do they got to be like that?
Yeah.
Nanny state nonsense,
No, that's exactly what it is, right? It's some nanny state nonsense, and I don't know. Like, again, I generally err on the side of like it would be better. It's strange to me. Actually, I was just talking to someone the other day who was talking about how that like they until recently had lived in a dry town. It's still a thing. Like, there's still dry towns out there. And that like there are places where you can't consume alcohol at a public establishment anywhere in that town, right? Like they obviously they can't fully prohibit you from like buying a 6-pack and going home and consuming it.
Yeah. The town I went to high school in is still a dry town. It's never had a bar that I know of. They can do some package sales, I think, now at one of the local convenience stores, but forever there we had to go, all the way down to Sydney or over to Oneonta to get beer. Like, it was just a thing. Like, they have a golf course there. They don't sell beer at the golf course. What kind of crazy stuff is that?
Wow.
That's nuts.
They don't sell beer at a golf course.
I know. That doesn't even. And
I
it's a
thought
great
that was
golf course,
mandatory.
It's run by a family that I went. One of the kids I went to high school with. They're great people, but they can't sell alcohol. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Like there's these weird relics of prohibition. You're right. It's weird relics of like, because we have that with like the way we distribute beer too. And it's kind of broken down. And actually, in part because of Cuomo. Like, there's one of the few good things he did is just making it easier for craft breweries to start up and everything.
Yeah, that was actually, he did do some deregulation there. There was a big push because New York State is the home of hops. Like, that used to be a hops powerhouse. All over New York State, counties that used to be agrarian have all sorts of land going fallow. So there was this big drive for this several year period to try to get people to grow hops. They were sending people out from Cornell Cooperative Extension. There were professors doing live talkies or live speeches at local community centers. The Foothills Performing Arts had one that I attended. I had a client that was interested in perhaps turning some of his land into a hops growing facility. And so it was really an interesting time. I see some hops farms have taken off, but for the most part, it didn't really seem to fully penetrate. Most of them kind of just dried up,
Yeah, a few places. And I mean, like they're around, right? Like it's still a thing, and it's still a big region for it. And I think New York State's still one of the biggest regions outside of the Pacific Northwest for hop production. But
all right.
Yeah,
and our hops are good, and the issue I think is that there's not the processing facilities needed to meet the potential for growing hops. So it's like you grow 10 hops plants, you're not going to be able to find somebody to buy your hops. It's going to be the big guys who build the big processing facilities that can package that stuff, and like I think if I remember correctly, they cryovac it in a nitrogen base to keep the leaves, the hops buds or flowers.
Well, it depends on how. Yeah, if you can do it in like a an environment doesn't have oxygen in it or anything else that's going to activate bacteria, you could do that. If you're doing like the fresh hop cones, and you want to do like dry hopping or something like that, or they can grind it up into a little powder and put it in like pellets or cones that way. And then that's how most beer is done. But like now, like the IPAs, you get the like if you want like the good scent and not just the bitterness, like it's a lot of people will dry hop them.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm not really a craft beer guy. I'll be honest. I drink my MK Ultra, and I basically stick with the light beers.
I mean, I'm drinking a lager right now from Ellicottville, but it's with I know a little bit about it. I was actually I worked at the Tennessee Brew House for a little bit, and I gave like some of the tours there. So I had to learn a little bit about beer and then where the Genesee water came from, and all that, all the steps of the brewing process. It was fun. So I got to learn a little bit about that, and that was at the time when like there was that big push for the hops resurgence and everything. So it was kind of fun to see that happen and to see how that ended up impacting like Rochester and everything.
Yeah, I think overall it was a net positive. So there are still some breweries that have survived, and it's basically fun, and it does put to use some agricultural land in New York State that was going fallow. So it's all in all a net positive. They could have achieved it through freedom, probably, but they basically kind of legislated it out. But okay,
yeah, that's how it goes.
Back.
Anyway, I mean, gosh, I think we've gone on like several tangents for this. This segment.
And on a Hochul, that was what that's what's
mostly important. I think like the most important message here is that don't let Hochul get away with doing stuff like that. It's gross. Stop it. Like it's just everything. Every time a politician gets up and tries to like absorb the glory from other people who are actually doing cool stuff, or teams that are doing cool stuff like the Bills, no, just don't. Like negative credit for that. Like it has the opposite effect on someone like me. So every time I know what you're doing, politicians, stop it.
Just stop it. I don't know if we're their target market anyway.
No, probably not. There's
probably.
Yeah, maybe not us, maybe not the folks listening to the show. I'm sure someone else, but like, gosh, no, like I know what they're doing. It just bugs me.
It just bothers me.
Anyway, and that's why also, I'd never be a successful politician because I'm so grossed out by the idea of doing that, but it's probably necessary to get ahead.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're heading up on our first break. Thanks again, folks, for joining us here on A Free Solution. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the NRA settlement in New York State and some congressional stuff. Be back here on A Free Solution in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon. And we're out.
All right. That is, it's just so wild. Politicians are so wild. How about the Bills, though? Hammering Miami.
Squish the fish.
It was beautiful, man. It was just, I actually watched some of the game, which is weird for me because I don't really spend a lot of time watching football. But man, oh man, they looked pretty sharp. I gotta be honest.
Great. Stars shootout. I was jealous. I had several friends who were at the game. I think my brother might have ended up going to that game too. But I saw the tickets, the ticket prices. I was like, all right, I can sit on like the very tippy top row for $300 some odd a piece. That's
good deal.
Yeah. No, instead I'm gonna be at the Patriots game on New Year's Eve, freezing my butt off.
I was hoping global warming kicks in,
It's New Year's Eve games. They're total crap. It might be like sunny and 50 degrees, or there'll be like 2 feet of snow. You never know what's gonna happen. So I've gone to a lot of those because a lot of times the Miami games will be late in the year, and so I've gone to a lot of those. And this time I'm gonna be there on New Year's Eve, taking the gamble on whether or not I'm gonna freeze.
Nice. Very nice.
But
I've been to a couple of cold Buffalo Bills games. I've been to a couple of September, October ones where you're still sweating and it's
Yeah.
hot and muggy and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I
those
hate
ones are fun.
crowds, so I
No.
hate going to the games. But
I mean, so Bills games are probably great like 8 years ago, but now it's gonna be packed there. I remember going to a Miami game when like Tyrod Taylor was still the QB, and it was just the tickets were like $30 for the 100 section, and there's just not a lot of people there.
no, I went to I was on the field for the Bills Jets game for the warm up while those guys were warming up. That was one of the most wildest football experiences of my entire life. It was when Brett Favre was playing for the Jets for a little while, and they came up to Buffalo. And my little brother was a UPS dude, right? And he was kind of like a new manager, and he kind of like broke a mold, and they were all very excited to kind of celebrate my brother's success. So they gave him tickets to the Bills game, and he got to drive the little UPS golf cart out onto the field. So,
It's fun.
That was absolutely fantastic. And I'll tell you what, like those dudes are really big. Even the kicker, like a 6 foot tall dude, like looks skinny on TV. That dude is a literal monster compared to like me and you and everybody you know. Like
no, they're all giants, and they're like talented and fast too. Like they're gonna be like the fastest 350-pound person you've ever seen in your life, and like TV doesn't quite do it justice.
It's just wild. Who was Marshawn Lynch running back for them? I think he was then. And
he was,
and Brett Favre
up in Seattle.
Brett Favre gave me the old man nod. We both kind of like, it was pretty cool. It was like his last season in the NFL.
Yep. So didn't he go to the Vikings after that?
Yeah, for like a game or two, something like that. He didn't last long there, I don't think.
No, that's where Aaron Rodgers is going.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, poor Aaron Rodgers. I don't even. Oof. What a way to end your football career, probably. It'll be hard to come back. It's going to be hard to come back from that. That kind of injury is so severe.
Yeah, no, it stinks. I mean, he's trying to come back this year. Let's see. I mean, he's still on the podcast and everything. He was mocking Travis Kelce for doing a Pfizer ad, which I thought you would have picked up on. But
oh my God, that's Shania Twain's boyfriend.
Taylor Swift.
Something like
that. The NFL won't shut up about like that's the actual conspiracy. Like that's the conspiracy I buy, is that like this whole dating thing is contrived to try to bring in a new demo into the NFL.
I saw some stats about it, or heard some stats about it on the radio today. It was some sort of crazy number, like a 25% increase in viewership because Taylor Swift was at the football game.
Yeah, because she was at the Jets game, and she was at the that was the whatever the previous one was with the Chiefs. But yeah, no, it got big attention, and like at the Jets game, they cut to her like every few seconds. It was ridiculous.
Oh my God, who needs that?
Well, it was a Sunday night game. But anyway, we should get back to
the show.
Yeah, we should get back to the show. So we'll go back in 5 seconds. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today, joined by Tim, the Freedom Marion O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin. Like, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, living the dream, Tim. Living the dream. Tim, you got a topic for us?
Yeah, well, we were just talking about Kathy Hochul and her magnanimous, her benevolence, her ability to spend taxpayer money to benefit us. Or let's maybe look at it a different way. The NRA just got awarded $500,000 from New York State for their participation in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. And a New York judge ordered the state to pay $447,700.82 in legal fees to the NRA for their participation in that case. So basically the lesson to be taken, Kevin, or one of the many lessons, is that our money gets wasted on these unconstitutional laws that we have put into place. Like there was, what do you think about this? This is crazy, right? Like they
Yeah.
will take our money and throw it in a freaking trash can.
No, I mean this is a thing that happens all the time, and she's playing the same gamble by like the with some of the recent laws that got passed, the recent gun control laws got passed, to knowing darn well that they're going to get shot down in court, but it's not her money that she's gambling with, right? Like knowing darn well that she's going to have to pay the legal fees for places if she loses and does these unconstitutional things. So not only is she violating people's rights and willing to throw away hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in paying for her own legal fees, plus the legal fees of her opponents, for a thing that, like, the only thing that it really helps is her political career. It helps her virtue signal more effectively to her political base.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
for campaign advertising in a way, right? Because
yeah,
there's a certain number, a pretty high percentage of New York State is very interested in and very committed to furthering these gun control regimes because of basically faulty statistics and virtue signaling. But okay, we can have that conversation. I get that people want more gun control, but when you do it illegally and when you do it through via executive order and when you do it legislatively with short notice and with no real debate, you're going to end up with really bad laws that are going to get challenged and overturned.
Yeah, you do. You end up with laws like the ones that we have right now that are ineffective, discriminate against like many gun owners, but particularly ones who are like who have less money.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Say it, brother. Like it discriminates against poor people. It makes them harder to access effective training equipment and ammunition, effectively defending their homes and their property. And it's a real problem. It's discriminatory. They can have all the guns they want because they have all of our money already. They're paying themselves with our money. They can pay for their security through our taxpayer dollar. And then we can't defend ourselves because, well, we can, but it's going to cost us more and it's going to be discrimination. It's
right.
economic stratification, if you will.
Yeah, and so it now gets more and more expensive to like exercise one of the forms of self-defense, or you do it illegally, right? And a lot of people who were doing it legally before are now made into criminals because of New York state law.
Isn't that the worst piece of these authoritarian gun control edicts, is that you could be completely legal with your personal setup one day, and then the next day you could be on the hook to get thrown into a cage for a new law that gets put into place. It something about that seems fundamentally unjust.
Yeah, I mean, and that I mean, it's one of those things. Like, they call it closing loopholes, right? Like they're not loopholes; it's just a legal way of doing things. And like, no, we're closing loopholes for the people who are getting around the laws. No, you mean following the laws? Come on.
Holy cow! It's a weird time. I'm glad that the NRA won. I'm glad that the NRA actually did participate, because I probably have reported in the past that this was simply the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, but the NRA did materially participate. They're very excited about this award that they're getting, and they feel that it's a sign that other legislation that they have pending is probably going to go their way. So I've made fun of the NRA, but I got to say thank you to them too, that they participated materially in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, and that they are making noise about winning very good cases. And I do like the fact that they did shake us down for $500,000. Like, I don't like that our money was wasted, but I like that they got retribution against the state for their unconstitutional behavior.
Yeah, I suppose.
And look, there's still a lot to not like about the NRA, but I've got to give them props when I give them, I've given them lots of criticism, and my criticisms of them have been fair in the past, for sure. But they're on the right side of this one.
Fair enough. All right. So should we start talking about some of the congressional stuff? Do you want to start on the serious end or the silly end?
Let's start on the serious end. Okay, let's do that. We'll keep it serious, then we'll go lighthearted in the last segment. But look, and you and I were talking ahead of the show, and you've made jokes in the past, like when Adam Schiff said something reasonable, and I was just like, oh my God, what do I do with this? You're like, the worst person in the world said something amazing. Yeah. Right now, we've got a guy from Florida doing the people's work, Kevin. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. What do you say?
You're talking about Representative Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. So yeah, he I retweeted a good speech he had on the floor because so if you haven't heard the news, for the first time ever apparently, we had the U.S. House of Representatives. Oh, I just knocked out my video. The U.S. House of Representatives has decided to remove the Speaker of the House. They have kicked Kevin McCarthy out. He is no longer Speaker of the House. There's an interim Speaker. This has never happened before. And this happened in part because of several of if you listen to the media, the hard right side of the aisle has decided that they're going to exercise what they said they could exercise when they voted him in, because they want to allow for a simple process to bring a vote to remove him as a speaker. And what they wanted was they wanted to be able to actually vote on at least consolidated budget appropriations bills, right? Do the normal process, something we haven't done in decades now.
Mm-hmm.
And so and a bunch of people are again, how did this happen to when they held the vote? Most of the Republicans ended up voting to keep him as speaker. A small block of Republicans, including this Congressman Matt Gaetz, they voted to remove him along with all the Democrats, right?
Yeah.
And so because the Democrats, well, they're partisans, oh yeah, we can make the Republicans look like a mess. Sure, we'll do that.
So all the Democrats voted to remove him, and now they're all crowing about the disorganized and disunity shown in the Republican Party. Yeah. But they voted to get rid of this.
They voted to get rid of him, right? It's so funny. I see all these Democrats. Oh man, these Republicans, they're a mess. And even reasonable members of Congress on the Democratic side, they're well, yeah, I know he compromised and he made sure that he worked with us to keep the government open and running and brought a bunch of us over and did what he was supposed to do, but he wasn't promising us enough. And that's literally what I've seen from folks. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Jeff something on that I always see on TikTok.
Yeah,
who's usually a pretty reasonable guy, but he's yeah, he didn't promise us enough. I'm all right, what you want? How much log rolling did you need to make this to keep the guy who you thought was doing a good thing by keeping the government open? Okay. Who's willing to reach across the aisle, who's willing to compromise. And again, I'm not defending him. Actually, I think that Representative Gaetz is right, and the radical Republicans are right on this one. Not on most of their issues. We talked about this last week. Not on most of their issues, but I think they're absolutely right that there should be a normal budgetary process in Congress where they should be bringing individual spending bills up for a vote, where they should be allowing amendments and allowing discussion on the floor. That is how Congress is supposed to work, and it hasn't operated that way in forever. And he made a promise to allow it to operate that way, and he failed to uphold that promise. It deserves consequences.
It's so funny because they did exactly what you and I knew that they were going to do, and they crafted a bill. They wadded everything into it. They hung it over everyone's head. They said, if you don't pass this, the government's going to shut down. And weirdly enough, this freaks me out because everybody I talk to is yeah, let it shut down. But apparently, in the general populace, people that are not contrarian, people that are not libertarian, and people that don't dislike the government as much as we do, get upset, apparently, when the government is shut down. For whatever reason, I don't understand why, because nothing changes in their life. And it's always a temporary thing to bring some fiscal responsibility back to our House chamber, but okay, all right, you guys win. Let's be upset over them shutting down the government for 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever, and everybody still gets paid.
What's that part is it doesn't save money.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't save money. I get that part, but it's still a lever to try to bring. And every time it's been used, the shutdown is to bring in a measure of accountability. It's never hey, you guys are spending way too much. It's always we need to dial back our spending. That's why we're hammering this point.
We need to continually have this thing where we procrastinate until the absolute last possible minute and then do a 4,000-page continuing resolution bill to just keep the government running at the same levels again and again over and over. And actually, I'll read the Representative Gaetz tweet. He said, I don't think voting against Speaker McCarthy is chaos. I think 33 trillion in debt is chaos. I think not passing single subject spending bills is chaos. I think being governed by continuing resolutions and omnibus bills is chaos. Chaos is somebody we cannot trust with their word. That's why I moved to vacate the chair.
Yeah, no,
Make
and
sure I read that.
I have a fire quote from him too, Kevin. He and I love that tweet from him. But he said, "This is during one of his speeches when he moved to vacate the chair. I take no lecture from those who would grovel and bend knee to the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership." And they started booing him. And he goes, "Boo all you want. We have hollowed out this town and borrowed against the future of our future generations." And it was a very kind of, when he said boo all you want, I was kind of like, yes, let them have it, man. And look, guys, the rhinos were apoplectic. They were losing their minds. Some little angry dude broke the freaking gavel when he
that's the
session.
interim speaker.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty upset, man. He was wild. And you could see like a couple like guys that should eat less sugar were getting ready to get all physical with Matt Gaetz, and I think Matt Gaetz would have wrecked him. Like it would have been no contest there.
That's funny. That's a great line. It just reminds me of that line from Rick and Morty. That's great. It's
Yes.
I don't was it your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Which I paraphrased on my Twitter account.
Yeah.
Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer, and then I made some reference to me paraphrasing Rick and Morty, who was Matt Gaetz was paraphrasing or something along those lines. It was great.
Yeah,
it's good stuff, man. So this led right into silliness already, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, like on the serious side of things, though, like again, I don't know what they're gonna do now. I don't know what the House is gonna do, if they're gonna just chill with an interim speaker for, till the next election, or if they're gonna elect someone who is good and smart and sensible and will accomplish the things that they want to do, or if a handful of breakaway Republicans will join with the Democrats to like elect the Democratic speaker. We'll see.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of ideal nominations out there.
Yeah, but Tim, you know what we're gonna do.
Jacob Chansley is campaigning for the position. All right, that's the guy with the horns that just got let out of prison. He feels as though he would be an adequate Speaker of the House.
You do not need. Goodness, you do not need to be a member of the House of Representatives to be Speaker of the House. It can be anyone. It could be this gentleman. It could be, Justin Amash, who might be good, or
Amash would be good. He would.
Yeah. Or it could be George Santos who can serve even if he gets expelled from the House.
That was going to be my second nomination. You beat me to it.
Yeah,
if it's not Jacob Chansley, I want George Santos. He's the right guy for the job, man. He'll get stuff done. He will.
Yeah. But anyway, we have to head to a break. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Talk to you soon.
Trump for speaker. That's one I saw kicked around.
Trump for speaker. Oh, goodness.
Wild.
No. If you want political grandstanding,
that would be epic. That would be epic. Bring him in. He'd straighten that situation out just like he did, just like he drained the swamp in his first term.
Yeah. This one, so John says, sadly, the Supreme Court voted against third parties this week. Larry was incensed, and I didn't see the case. I thought I saw someone tweet. I haven't looked into it, but like this week, the Supreme Court basically said the cases that they won't be taking, and I assume that the challenge to New York State's obliteration of independent nominating bodies and political parties was one of the cases that the Supreme Court decided not to take up.
That must be. Yeah, I actually didn't catch this. Larry's more in tune with that stuff. Larry definitely is motivated to get the Libertarian Party on the ballot in New York State, and I think that's a great idea. He's going to bring all of his energy onto that, and it would be nice if honestly, like I went to one of Larry's court cases, and I really felt like they had a better argument, and I felt like the judges were receptive to his argument and his position. And then they came back with a ruling that didn't really line up with the way they were acting in the court. It's just they're weird. They're political animals. You see it even in their political writings. Even Justice Breyer was writing something about the Bruin case, and he referred to the political culture right now, and as if that's important to the Second Amendment. Why would that be important to the Second Amendment? Like, how can the political concerns be important to a natural inherent right? I don't understand that. I don't know where they get that from. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Well,
Weirdos.
it's important because their job.
It's their job to
I'll
come
keep
up
it.
with weird interpretations of the law that don't make any sense.
Yeah. Now that's unfortunately it is a thing, but we'll go back in about 30 seconds, and folks, we'll talk about some of the weirder stuff with Congress. So let us know your thoughts on any of the strange things going on in Congress, because it's funny. It's a silly segment. That's what it's gonna be. Goofy news. All right, we're gonna go back in 5, 4. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson yesterday, joined by Tim the Freedom Variant O'Connor.
I'm here, Kevin. And this is going to be our wild news section, I guess, right?
It is.
We're going to be talking about just epic things going on in Congress, the Senate, I think, in this case.
Senate, or which thing do you want to talk about?
You go first. You pick one.
So, because I was going to talk about the fire alarm thing.
Oh, do it. Let's talk about that. What in the world? Okay, yes. You introduce the story.
Right. So there's a member of Congress who was trying to get to a vote. He was trying to leave like one of the House office buildings, and he was trying to rush to get to the Capitol building. Right.
That's his story.
Yeah, that's what he says, Jamal Bowman, and this is what he says, and he walks up to a door that. Like it says, like the alarm's gonna go off if you like open the door, but that's not what he did. He said he got confused and he thought he needed to pull the fire alarm to get to the door, and then he set it off. And like it's a strange story. Like again, this is a dude who's like a school principal who like knows darn well what happens when you pull the fire alarm. Like it's very clearly labeled fire alarm. It's not a mystery, but he may have been doing it to for other reasons. He said he didn't realize it was going to trigger an alarm. He was trying to get to an urgent vote, but somebody's like, well, was he trying to delay the vote? Was he trying to do something else?
Our man Thomas Massey, who surprisingly didn't like Kevin McCarthy's removal. He thought it was a sign of disorganization. I was a little surprised by that, but okay, I respect it. I respect his opinion.
Yeah, I think he voted for him before. He ended up coming around to support him. He thought it was the best move to elect a speaker, and he was the best among like maybe not ideal choices.
Yeah, so there you go. But he was unhappy. But he was saying that the Democrats were kind of slow walking this vote. They were like coming in and one at a time, and then all of a sudden, as they're kind of slow walking this vote, the former school superintendent, or school principal, excuse me, Jamal Bowman pulls a fire alarm. That's a felony. This guy should be. What do they do? Censor him and then try him in regular court? What do they do with congressmen? There's some, they get some immunity from law, but like this guy should definitely. This is like an insurrection, Kevin.
It's like an insurrection. It's like the same thing. It's January 6th,
like
right?
An insurrection, Kevin.
Just like it.
It's like an insurrection.
No. So like I mean, normal people like there sometimes are consequences for pulling a fire alarm when you don't need to, and again, a lot of schools they can suspend you for doing that. What the House of Representatives could do, I've seen some people like, they should prosecute them to the full extent of the law, throw the book at. No, like, to me, they could like censure him or something, right? Like,
right.
Like he's like no one. I can't imagine anyone really buys like that it was an accident. And again, Democrats don't. My goodness, don't debase yourselves by being like, Oh, I believe him when he said it was an accident and it's just an innocent mistake. No, it wasn't. Stop it. Just be like, yeah, no, he messed up. He shouldn't have done that.
You've got to give
Moving on.
Democrats credit, Kevin. They're very good at circling the wagons, like over bad behavior, over
Well, yeah, well, that's what political tribes do, right? Like, that's why I'm bad at it.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
like I'm not good. Like, I was a Republican for a while. I was bad at that. Like, people
Yeah.
are like, all right, well, we got to defend our guy. I'm like, no, why? That guy stinks. He's being a
Mhm.
jerk. Why would I defend him? I don't want to be associated with that.
I mean, they
Didn't
haven't
like him
made
to begin with.
a lot of comments, but I did see some people taking pictures of this sign that says, "Open this door and an alarm will sound," and they're like completely understandable. And I'm like, what? Like what? I wish I could remember the guy's name because we should air it out here, but I can't remember it. And tweets slip out of my mind pretty fast. But like, what he did was kind of reprehensible. Now, I sure would I like to see him lose his job over it? Absolutely. I think he's a horrible legislator. I think he's
I
a
don't know much
polemic
about him, honestly.
kind of.
Other than dunking on him for this, like I do not know a lot about him.
What's that?
Other than dunking on him for this, I don't know a lot about the guy.
Oh, he's had other fits about gun control where like he's having this quiet conversation with Massey and somebody's filming it and a reporter walks up and he starts screaming about, he just goes off wild. He's an emotional manipulator and he's one of the guys that I think are debasing our society, right? They're kind of like hustlers and kind of like, and look, this is going to maybe make some people mad or whatever, but I don't think he is of sound moral character. I think that he's an emotional manipulator and a narcissist who's looking for spotlight kind of stuff. And that kind of guy is exactly the kind of guy that would pull a fire alarm to disrupt a proceeding, like that's my
Yeah.
democracy he's assaulting, bro.
That's
I can't
your
even keep a straight face with
democracy.
some of the stuff I say, but still, I don't like the guy. I think he's bad, and I'd like to see him face some consequences, some severe consequences.
Severe consequences. All right, man. All right, if you say so. All right. So what other stuff you want to talk about? Something in the Senate?
Well, yeah, we've got another kind of semi-libertarian hero out there, Kevin, who's
yes.
rejecting the theories of storing his money in the bank, and he wants to be prepared for this digital currency stuff. So he's converting his assets into gold and hard cash, baby. Senator Bob Menendez from New Jersey has rejected normal banking systems for lining his suit jackets with currency and gold. And I for one, appreciate that.
Literal gold bars.
Literal gold bars, bro.
Yeah, that's like just again, a big believer in a solid currency, gold backed dollar.
Yeah.
I'd assume.
Arguably, he got the money from Egypt, and he serves on the Foreign Relations Committee, and we provide them
He
with
did.
all sorts of funding.
He did, yeah. That might have had something to do with it, where he didn't.
Arguably,
Yeah, he didn't disclose that, like, maybe he was talking to the Egyptian government about, like, how money would be distributed to their government for, like, military aid and other types of aid, and, maybe taking, again, literal gold bars as a bribe, plus, like, Mercedes, or, like, a car, and there's all sorts of, like, other stuff, like, the indictment's pretty real.
Just out of left field with this guy, though, Kevin. Nothing like this has ever happened with this guy ever before.
Yeah, doesn't have a history of this at all.
You're not talking about 2017, are you? That he was acquitted of that stuff.
Yeah, he's acquitted. It has an ancient history.
This guy is,
and
he's corrupt. He's and not even like legal corrupt. This guy is breaking the laws all over the place. He's the word that I would use in our regular show, I can't use on the radio, but this guy is making a mess of the process and making a mockery of the system and has always been a bad dude. He's gotten away with it forever. Like, that's the thing about this corruption that we're experiencing. This is why I got excited about what Matt Gaetz said, that these guys are bending knee to lobbyists and taking basically bribes for access to our pocketbook. And that's what Bob
Yeah.
Menendez is doing. And that's what he did. And there's no making any mistakes about it. And again, here's where the Democrats once again are going to circle the wagons and protect this guy because they need a seat. Look what they did with
Yeah,
Dianne Feinstein, bro.
well, we'll talk about her in a minute, but no, I mean it's interesting too because I think there's been a bit less of that. Like it's so kind of like out in the open how again like the gold bars thing makes an impression, right? That's what we're talking about. That's what we're joking about. It's because like it makes an impression. Like literally, he's taking like cartoonish bribes from. Like, it's not even subtle. And you know, and like they're also kind of resenting. Like he basically said that he's being discriminated against because he's Latino and stuff. And people are like, what are you talking about? Like corruption, as it turns out, knows no racial boundaries. It's for everybody.
Yeah, well,
And to try
race is a
to
social
play that card isn't working, even among Democrats, and especially among Latinos. Like, no, man, just nope. You did bad things.
He does. In 2017, he got away with taking a lot of money from a friend for, you know,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No,
was that proven?
He admitted that he took the money.
Did he? I thought it was still like an accusation. Oh yeah,
it was a hung jury because they were voting 10-2. Like only two people in New Jersey on this jury wanted to convict him. The other 10 weren't really clear about whether the money he took could be construed as a bribe or not. Like he definitely took money and lots.
Right. And actually, we should clarify like, this whole thing. Like the gold bars thing. At this point, they're pretty legit sounding accusations from like and again, there's a lot of material evidence, like, but it is accusations that prosecutors could be lying or misrepresenting what happened. Like it could happen, but like, it seems pretty bad.
Yeah, but if we're going to convict a guy in the court of public opinion, let it be this guy.
Yeah, no, it kind of feels like he deserves it.
Yeah, I don't like him. Yeah, I've never liked him.
No.
And he's another polemic. Like he's another guy that plays identity politics, and those things make me sick, you know.
No. And so yeah, we haven't talked about like the Senator Feinstein passed recently. Again, she was very old. California is going to have a new senator, and it's interesting because she's kind of known for being a fundraiser. Yeah.
Very talented.
Ponza Butler. Yeah, she was she involved in like Emily's List or something? And it's interesting. But like we talked about the late California senator before and how it was, I don't know, it was a combination of ridiculous and sad what was happening there. She didn't even know.
Right. She was being encouraged to show up and take votes when she was very ill because she was a swing vote. She was on a committee that was relatively important, and her vote was very important. She was, you know, not remembering having voted. She was not. She should not have been working. She should have been living and relaxing and finishing her days with dignity. But because of the way our system works, she was there being used as a pawn in the machine, the uniparty machine, to get things like funding votes for Ukraine and to just keep that slim sliver of power that means everything, I guess, in a democracy. That one vote edge could make all the difference in the world as to whose pockets you grease in return for the grease you got.
Yeah,
it's a weird system, Kevin, and as you can tell, it frustrates me.
Yeah, that's frustrating. You know, and with the new senator from California, again, her role has been part of greasing that system, right? Like it's what it is. She was a consultant that worked on Newsom's campaign and on Kamala Harris's campaign, and it was a fundraiser with a major Democratic funding organization, and has been in elected office anymore, but is very familiar with all of the players and the people. And yeah, I know, like
No, it's where the
feels
skeletons are buried, and maybe has a few that
maybe I don't know. Like again, maybe this person is given her experience is a good fit for Blue California, but yeah, but her experience to me it kind of raises more red flags than anything else.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I like it. I don't know. I don't like to end on hopeless notes, right? Like, but a lot of stuff going on in Congress bums me out. Like, and we've talked about like ousting the speaker, which again, maybe it could turn out good. Maybe they come to their senses and they choose Justin Amash as a speaker and they restore normal order in the House and have the deliberative process that our Constitution and our founders intended. Maybe that's what happens, and we get to report on that over the report. We get to BS about that over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Look,
But
I don't hate Jim Jordan. He's a potential.
yeah, no, he'd be interesting.
Yeah, he
I
would be a
think
good guy.
Yeah, I think Jim Jordan would be good. So maybe there's some good options out there. So hopefully that's what happens. All right, there's me not ending on a pessimistic note. That maybe Congress comes to its senses and does something like responsible for once.
Or Jacob Chansley. I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah, or they do something funny, and we'll talk about that too.
Yeah,
they could very well do something funny. On that
Yeah.
note, though, we do have to wrap up the show. We're coming close to the end. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. And folks who are listening online, and we're going to restore this Facebook page. We're going to fight Facebook. We're going to get back online. But if you missed part of this because you were looking for our show, or you missed part of this because you're listening on WYSL and you caught part of it in your car, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. Go find our podcast. It's all over the place. You can listen to all of our episodes, like the entire backlog, way back to when Andrew Hollister was hosting Radio Free New York. We got years of content back there. You go get all that stuff.
We have hundreds of podcasts. Hundreds.
Literally, I think there's like over 500.
Wow.
All right. But thanks again for joining us on this episode of A Free Solution. We're out for the night on the WYSL audience. We'll keep going for the podcast and online audience. Have a great night, WYSL audience. Take care. All right.
That was fun.
Yeah. So Tim, when is the zombie apocalypse supposed to start? Because I was told
it was 2:20 today, bro.
What, 2:18 though? They jumped in early.
Yeah,
I was in the middle of a phone call, which meant my alarm didn't go off. It like my phone like kind of beeped, and I could hear all the alarms in the office going off. I'm like, oh, is it 2:20 already? No, it's only 2:18.
It supposedly triggered the zombie apocalypse. I've been ready. I've been waiting for this ever since episode 1 of The Walking Dead, bro. I've been waiting. I know it's going to happen.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I know I'm not going to do well in the zombie apocalypse. I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. My situational awareness is not super great sometimes. She once tried to prank me by sitting a skeleton like on top of my dresser. Like just standing up on my dresser. I did not notice.
You didn't even see it.
Didn't even see it. Like I just went in, okay, go grab my socks from my underwear and got out of there. And then she comes. I go downstairs. She's like, "What? Did you notice anything weird when you're getting dressed?" Like, no. Why? I should have. Took me upstairs. Like, you didn't notice that? I was like, "Oh, when did you put a skeleton there?" It's like a day ago.
Wow.
So that being said, if I'm like, if a zombie apocalypse is happening, I'm either going to try to like help them, like, oh, that guy looks like he's having some trouble. Hey, buddy, would you like some? Which I've done before. Like, there's a guy like stumbling around my neighborhood one time. Like, he was just not doing well. He was just having a bad time. He'd been drinking too much. I walked over and tried to help him. And I walked up to my wife afterwards. She's like, if that guy were a zombie, you'd have been screwed, right? It's like, well, he wasn't though. He was just having a bad time and he needed to sit for a second. And I talked to him and, made sure he was all right. She's like, yeah, but if he was a zombie, I was like, hey, yeah, I know.
That's all right. So I think that there's a chance that I would survive at least a short period of time, and well enough to, if my kids make it back to me in a zombie apocalypse, that I could help them get set up relatively safely. My situational awareness is pretty well. I do have a propensity towards violence, though I don't engage in it very often. Like if something threatens me and mine, I'm there. I'm ready, right? Like I'll at least take my best shot. And so I think I would stand, even though I need some medicine, I think I would stand a chance of surviving for a while. And I do know that I would go get medicine from the local store if I had to. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Tim is a big fan of looting, folks. Like as soon as he thinks something's going down, he's like, all right, time to head to the pharmacy.
Yeah, that's it.
Time to
You
tool
got
up and
That's the first place you got to go. And look, you're going to have to fight your way into it, like because there's going to be other people there.
Yeah.
They're
gonna get the drugs. You're gonna get the cigarettes.
yeah. I think I'd quit smoking in a zombie apocalypse. I'd just give up on it. Be easy.
Oh well, you get the cigarettes. Cigarettes are gonna be currency, Tim. That's like
right.
you gotta think. You gotta
Yeah,
think. You know, like other people are gonna want to keep smoking.
True. We have a rolling machine, so if worse comes to worse,
Grow
we
some
could be like
tobacco and-
cigarette producers.
Ah, there you go. That's smart.
Yeah. Manufacturers.
Yeah. Also, all right. So Tim's gonna do all right. He's just like immediately gonna loot the pharmacies. Gonna fight to survive. Me, I'm gonna be like patient 2. Like it's
You'd be like, you'll be a zombie. I don't like that idea, Kevin. We need to come up with a better plan.
like I like if I don't get like it's either like I might be all right like if I'm aware of what's going on and like my alert level's raised, but like if it's one of those like early ones like if you ever seen like Shaun of the Dead where he's just kind of like walking around and be like, people are being weird today. Like you seen that movie? And he's like walking into the store and there's like the guy like who's all messed up and he's just okay, yeah. This guy's being kind of a jerk. Now that might be
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
All right.
It's a good one, and his whole plan is like get to the pub.
Which in and of itself is not a bad plan. Like people who go to pubs would have plans for surviving. Most of them wouldn't implement them though. They would want to just stay in the pub.
Yeah. I mean, it's a place to hang out, Yeah. But I said, I got all this going on. I live in a city. Yeah. So I'll be honest, doesn't look great for me. That's all I'm saying. Like everyone wants to think that they're going to be the hero of the zombie movie who like makes it.
Yeah.
I know the odds.
That's like, well, I do base some of my judgment on the fact that I am in a rural setting, that my neighbors we're not densely populated, so there wouldn't be immediate hordes of zombies in my neighborhood roving. I don't think. I think that the disease would have a hard time reaching us. That was also one of my major complaints about the show. It's like, can't you just find a place like uphill? Like zombies don't like walking uphill. Like just relax a little bit. They're not going to come to you unless you're making a mess out of things. Like I think you could outsmart zombies. They don't technically. I think it would be easier. You could dig a moat. Like I had a backhoe when that I could just dig a moat around my house and they could come to my house and then they could just get washed away down into the lake because I could dig big trenches where they would just fall into the lake. Then I'd have a bridge.
It depends on the zombie, right? Some zombies in the movies, they can swim, they can kind of think a little bit, they can do a bit, and other ones are like just mindless, hordes going after you, and they can get trapped. Because I would always think like, well, just go to an island, right?
Right.
And then like, are they limited? Are they supernatural zombies, or are they limited by like, their physical bodies still, right? Like, if they drown in a lake, their body can no longer get oxygen. Okay. What?
Walking Dead season 2, episode 7, they threw zombies into the lake, and the zombies stayed zombies.
They stayed. They just stayed stuck around.
Yeah, right. They're not breathing, so they could oxygenate from the lake water.
I didn't watch all of the Walking Dead. I got like my wife is terrified of zombies. She really, really does not like zombie stuff. So I can't watch any of it. Like, so the only thing I saw, I watched Z Nation, which was like zombies, but like funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Was a good one. And Shaun of the Dead, which is also like, it's like horror comedy.
Yep. I've watched a numerous a vast collection of zombie movies.
Yeah, but like I haven't seen World War Z because again, maybe I'll watch it eventually, but like wife won't watch it with me, and I've seen Zombieland too again, but that one because that was kind of funny. But
so arguably the plans were just simply too complicated. In I watched Fear of the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, and they just had these plans that were simply too complicated. They could have just been simpler. Like even in The Walking Dead, towards the end, they found a guy that lived in a shack, and he was just like pretty happy, like zombies don't really come here, you know what I mean? Like, so that's that. Like, you could live
Yeah.
like that after the zombie apocalypse. Like, don't bother rebuilding civilization, just avoid the zombies. It's simple.
Civilization is how you get the stuff, Tim. It's
Yeah,
if
like
I
social media. Look how that's turned out.
you're just like, yeah, Facebook and Twitter and X and Instagram went away tomorrow, you'd be like, whatever. Probably better off for it.
I mean, I just accept the reality of it.
Right.
I don't know if I'd be better
That's
off.
fair. Yeah, I guess you why get mad at something you can't do anything about, right? Well, guess the internet's down. All right, well, make the best of it.
I'd be giggling about the tweets I sent 10 years ago after, like down the road, I'd be like, remember that one tweet, Tim? And I'd be like, hee, that was really funny, Like, I got like 2,000 likes for that.
2,000 likes. Did you really? I don't remember you getting 2,000. No, trust me. Like, we can't check it. I know, but trust me. Like, it was
just
great.
Trust me. I got 2,000, like 2,800 likes for the licensing issue in Florida after the hurricanes, when this guy comes from Texas who has a roofing license in Texas and gets arrested in Florida. And I was just like, I posted a shot of the Reason magazine, and I was just like, no words. And I got like 3,000 likes for it because people were just like on fire. Like, how could a guy, like, he comes from Texas, has a license in Texas, brings supplies, brings his own food, and just wants to fix people's roofs for money, and like he gets arrested? And it's like, there are people out there, like, I got into arguments. People are like, oh, that guy's a jackleg or whatever the name they come up with. And I'm like, people need roofs in Florida in short order. Like, what are you guys saying? So had great arguments over it. Got thousands of likes for my position.
Yeah, no, it was the correct position.
Yeah. Got retweeted by the Mises Caucus. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
But, big deal.
It was a big deal.
All right. I don't know that I have much else to talk about, other than like, the FEMA alert thing that made all of our phones go off, which is, I don't know, it's fine. I'm not really like mad about it.
People do get oddly concerned with things like that. I don't blame them in a way. Like, government is intrusive and increasingly intrusive. So I get it. Bill Gates dialing back his rhetoric at the same time as Klaus Schwab is upping his rhetoric about global climate change. It's a very interesting time. ESG almost might be done. Like, companies are giving up on it. They're just like, it didn't really make us any money.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was always going to be about. They thought that like virtue signaling the right way would make them money, but as soon as it actually cost them money, they're going to be done. Right? Like, it's.
Yeah. But it doesn't preclude them from moving in that direction again and buying more regulations,
I mean, and if they want to do it just by saying like, well, we think that wind energy is the future, so we're going to invest in wind companies and solar companies and companies that respect our. Okay, sure, that's your right. You have a right to spend your money in the same way that other people do.
Innovate the market,
as long as you're not like forcing people to do it, right? As long as it's not like, here's this new SEC regulation that says you have to do things this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we'll do another show.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, folks, for joining us on A Free Solution. I think we're going to call it a night.
Yeah, might as well. I got to work tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Have a great night, folks. Take care.
Take care.